Hello and welcome back to the latest edition of the Skyrim Archaeological Survey. I am joined as ever by the, ever impressive Liv Westring.
Thank you.
And today we are going to be doing a little bit of additional research following our survey at the Dustmans Can. Specifically, we're going to be examining the book that came out of that cairn, the Battle for Sancre Tor. We're going to take a look at the quest line that the cairn was linked to, and also actually the artifact that's the focus of that quest line as well. And Liv hopefully has some interesting things to say on this because obviously Liv, you had to play this quest, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Not that we're focusing on that at all,
No, no.
but the positive is it's fresh in your mind, which is great. It's really great. So let's start with, I suppose, first of all, just quickly, what do you make of, or what did you make of the survey that we conducted in the Dustmans Can? Were there any particular standout elements for you?
Well, mostly the contrast to the survey we did before,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like this feels like a much more a use of the natural cavern system more than just underground architecture, which the first one was much more a thing of, and also the amount of collapses.
Yeah, and I suppose it sort of walks that line between, I think as we were saying in the survey, that line between potentially being a feature of the tomb as intended in terms of its natural pathway of decay, intended pathway of decay, and maybe a failed experiment in terms of its relationship to the natural world. The again in terms of survival, the I think the thing that strikes me about Dustman's Can, for example, in the web page that we're looking at here, and the image that they've used, is the way that you could almost imagine that the cairn, or rather the bowl barrow, as we're calling it, the bowl barrow was added to the monument after the stone circle was there.
Yeah.
It may well even be that what they did was they simply appropriated or moved into a site of interest for someone else, and
Yeah.
that might be why it's less than perfect down below in terms of its architecture. But nonetheless, if you want to catch up with the progress on that, check out the previous video, and
I would
comments as well.
also want to add before we move on
Uh huh.
that I think that George Nanthas posed a really interesting question in the comments on the last video
Oh yeah. Uh huh.
about maybe the graveyard just outside of the cairn is built for those who couldn't be buried there anymore after it collapsed.
Ah, do you know what? I hadn't seen that comment. Thank you for highlighting that. But actually,
Yeah.
that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
I definitely the comments and collaborative effort in terms of helping with this interpretation is definitely welcome. But that's an interesting point, and actually maybe that's something else as well to keep an eye out for
Yes.
as we proceed. Have we chosen our next survey site?
I don't think we have. I haven't been informed if we have.
I should say that when we're recording this, it's about a week before we're releasing it, because when it goes out, I'm going to be in Ireland, and
And I will be moving house.
yeah, so so actually, yeah, we're sort of like we've got plenty of time to choose it at the next one, but actually, in that sense, please do comment below with your suggestions as well as ever. If you want to see us going to a certain tomb barrow, bowl barrow, or cairn, let us know and we'll take a look at it. Please don't send us though to the labyrinthian just yet. I think we need
No,
to
no.
we need to build up to
It will
that.
be probably like a 3-part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Part one outside. Part. So anyway, during our survey, we came across the book, "The Battle of Sancre Tor." This is a book which is seemingly quite valuable. It's worth 50 septim. It's it's actually a skill tome as well. So when you as Dragonborn read the book, you gain a skill point in two-handed combat, and typically that's also a hint as to the type of content as well. So if you're reading about combat, you'll get a combat skill. If you're reading about a great wizard, you may well get an alchemy or some sort of destruction spell skill, this kind of thing. That said, though, that's not quite the same as spells in that sense. So you can also get spell books which have one use or learned spells in them. But this book is seemingly set in the year 852 of the Second Era. And just as a quick quiz, do you happen to know what year Skyrim is set? Elder Scrolls V.
No.
Well, I didn't know until I googled it just before we started recording. But it's the Fourth Era begins with the events of Oblivion, the previous game, and this is Skyrim is set 200 years after that, so it's 200 years into the Fourth Era, and this book is written about events in the year 852 of the Second Era. I'm not quite sure how long ago that is from here. We'll have to check. Brush up on our timelines over the course of this project. But let's dive into the book then. In the year 852 of the Second Era, allied Nord and Breton forces crossed the borders into Cyrodiil and occupied the major passes and settlements in the Jural Mountains, making their headquarters for the winter at Sancre Tor. The Nord-Breton allies dared King Culecairn's new general Talos to assault them in their mountain fastness. When they learned that General Talos had mustered an army in the dead of winter and was marching to assault Sancre Tor, they were elated. Sancre Tor was impregnable, its citadel high on cliffs overlooking the lowered city, nestled in a high mountain basin with steep, unscalable cliffs to their rear. The Cyrodiilic, that's a nice word, isn't it? The Cyrodiilic army was small, poorly trained and outfitted, short on rations and unprepared for winter campaigning. As their ragged units assembled in the lowlands beneath the citadel, the Nord-Breton allies confidently assumed that their enemy had delivered himself into their trap. The citadel was not only protected by an unscalable cliff in front and unscalable heights in their rear, but the entrance to the citadel was magically concealed under the appearance of a large mountain lake in the basin beneath the heights. Accordingly, the Nord-Breton allies left on a small force to defend the citadel, descending through lower passages to attack and overwhelm the cold, hungry Cyrodiilic forces before them. They expected to defeat, overrun and annihilate General Talos' army, leaving no one to oppose their springtime descent into the Cyrodiilic heartlands. Now, just before we move on, are you surprised by this idea of Nord-Breton allies? Do you think that they're natural allies in that sense?
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't call them natural allies either, but it's not a ally or alliance that surprises me either.
No.
Since, Cyrodiil has their history with both people.
And I suppose actually, it's in that sense, I can imagine them both seeing each other as equally non-imperial in that sense.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a Scotsman and an Irishman, or frankly, a Scotsman and a Welshman going, well, we're not English.
Yeah.
Thus did General Talos lure the Nord-Breton allies to their doom. Goodness me. Leaving a weak force in the lowlands to dry out the defenders, General Talos approached the citadel of Sancre Tor from the rear, descending the supposedly unscalable heights behind the citadel and sneaking into the supposedly magically concealed entrance to the inner citadel. This remarkable feat is attributed to the agency of a single unnamed traitor by tradition, a Breton turncoat sorcerer who revealed both the existence of an obscure mountain trail down the heights behind the citadel and the secret of the citadel entrance concealed beneath its illusory lake surface. Now, is it just me, or am I getting a slight Herodotus 300 vibe here?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking that the author might be Nordic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see that. Blaming it on the Bretons. While the Cyrodiilic army in the lowlands fought a desperate defence against the Nord Breton sortie, General Talos and his men entered the citadel, swept aside the sparse defence, captured the Nord Breton nobles and generals, and compelled them to surrender the citadel and their armies. The confused, demoralised Nord captives, already suspicious of this scheming high rock sorcerer, aristocracy, and their overreaching dreams of the Heartland conquests, deserted the alliance and swore loyalty to Tiber Septim. Oh. Oh, this is all connected to the grand story, because effectively, aren't you, as the Dragonborn, you're related effectively to Tiber Septim, aren't you? Or is it more a case of you're sort of you're the same type of being, because he was a Dragonborn as well. Yeah. So you're not necessarily related. You've just got the same soul almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same soul qualities.
Yeah. A bit like you and me.
Yes.
Sorry. Certainly the same geeky qualities, or similar. The Skyrim generals joined their rank and file in Tiber Septim's army. The High Rock Battle Mage command was summarily executed, and the captive Bretons imprisoned or sold into slavery.
Thus, this just raises my point that it's a Nord that has written this book.
Yeah.
Or maybe an Imperial.
Like observer, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I suppose the Skyrim generals are on the right side of history at least, and the Bretons are just a bit rubbish. Thus was the concerted Allied invasion of Cyrodiil foiled, and General Talos' army swelled by the hardened Nord veteran troops that played so crucial a role in General Talos' succeeding campaigns, which consolidated the Colovian and Nibenian,
I think.
Yep, into the core of the Cyrodiilic Empire, and which resulted in, I think, in the crowning of General Talos as Emperor Tiber Septim.
And I think this is a very important path, because it shows where Talos and the Nords join forces. And Talos is a very important. I mean, he was considered a god in Nords. I mean, the whole imperial conflict between the North and the Imperium in Skyrim, the game, is very much about the Empire outlawing Talos as a god.
Well, yeah. So in Skyrim, you have the 9 divines.
Yeah.
But in Calling to the Empire, there's 8 divines.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Although I like the phrase 9 divines. It just sounds better. It just sounds better. Historians marvel at Tiber Septim's tactical daring in assaulting a fortified mountain citadel in the dead of winter against vastly superior numbers. Later, Tiber Septim attributed his unwavering resolve against overwhelming obstacles to having been inspired, I think, by his divine vision of the Amulet of Kings in the tomb of Reman III. Okay, that's a nice detail, I suppose. I don't necessarily buy it, but the young.
Well, if he was anything like our Dragonborn is, then I imagine he wouldn't view a heavily fortified citadel as a problem.
No, well, frankly, I don't know how you play Skyrim, but I often find myself just sort of scooting down the side of mountains anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, if I find that it might be too hard for everyone to come at me at once, I just sneak and shoot them.
Yep, exactly. Yep. The young Talos may indeed have been inspired by his belief that he was fated to recover this ancient sacred symbol of the Covenant and to lead Tamriel into the high civilization of the Third Empire. Nonetheless, this should in no way reduce our admiration for the dash and genius of this defining military triumph against impossible odds.
Mm-hmm.
So a nice little
fanboy has written this, I imagine.
Oh, what, sorry?
It's a bit of a fanboy author.
Yeah. So as you say, maybe I suppose it could be an Imperial, or it could be actually. I suppose at this point in Skyrim, this book would, and especially with this book having such a high price, this may indicate that this book is one that is probably outlawed by the Empire because it's in praise of Talos. And that might be why it's in the Dustmans Can, potentially.
Maybe.
I mean, there's no evidence directly for that.
It's also worth noting that when I did a bit of research on this book, it can be found in other places in Skyrim.
Okay.
And it can also be found in Oblivion.
Oh, that's interesting. The exact same book.
Yeah, the exact same book.
That is very interesting, actually. So according to the found in following locations: Bleak Coast Cave, Broken Helm Hollow, Dustmans Can, House of the Clan Battleborn, but I suppose that makes sense. Old Hroldan Inn in the Reach. Interesting. Whereabouts in Oblivion is it found?
It's found in Breville, Castle Breville, in the Great Hall, and it can be found as random loot.
Oh, well, so in that case, then it's not necessarily. It may simply be a bit of a. So clearly, in that sense, this is a book that is more common in Skyrim, and therefore may be a bit of sort of tangential interest to, by the sounds of it, a noble in Oblivion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it's also, since we now know that Oblivion is 200 years earlier, it has to be a quite an old book to be found in Skyrim.
It does. Yeah.
Either if they reprint it, or
it could be. Yeah, and it's like third reprint or something. But maybe that is tied into its expense as well, how expensive it was. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, that's the book that we found. Do you want to talk us through a little bit of the quest Proving Honor then, and why we ended up in Dustmans
Proving
Can?
Honor is a companionship quest, and it's the first quest of a longer quest for the companions.
The companions are a bunch of warriors living in Whiterun, aren't they?
Yes, they are a mercenary company of sorts. And this is the quest you do to become a full-fledged member.
Okay, yeah.
So you get it from Farkras, who is a sweet, nice, very strong man. And he tells you that you have one final challenge before you can join the companions, and that you're to retrieve a fragment of Wuthrad, the blade of Iskramor, from Dustmans Can, and Farkas will accompany you and judge your valor.
So what is it that's measuring your valor? Is there a certain way you have to behave as you proceed?
Well, you can't. You shouldn't kill him.
Well, yes, yeah, that would be a mark on your judgment.
Yes.
On your result.
But mostly it's just get through there, fetch the fragment, and he will make sure, like, if you act cowardly, if you attack him, if he dies, that kind of thing will make them like you less.
Okay. And have you tried that? Have you tried to deliberately fail this quest ever, or?
I think I did before, because I wasn't too fond of the companions when I was doing one playthrough, but I wanted to get into the camp. So I did the quest, and then he died, I think.
Oh, he died.
Yeah.
He died.
And then everyone looked mad at me when I came back without him.
I see. When you say he died, did you kill him?
No, I think I just failed to heal him.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, and hence there is one of the measures of valor, I suppose. You need to actually keep the guy alive. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, your shield brother. You shouldn't use him as an actual shield.
I don't know. There are times when I'd happily use my brother as a shield, but I suppose that's not the same thing as a shield brother.
No.
So I don't know. Is it worth going through through the walkthrough, or is this just like a room by room exploration of the?
Yeah, I don't think it will give much. At least not to our purpose.
Okay.
What's worth mentioning, I think, is that when you arrive to do the quest, Farkas notices that someone's been digging around there, and that you meet not only Draugr resistance in the tomb. You also meet the Silver Hands, which are a lovely bunch of people that will attack you just because you associate with the companions.
Right. So, and in that sense, then, are both the Silver Hands and the companions trying to get hold of a fragment of Wuthrad, then?
Yes, if I don't misremember. It's told later on in the quest. You don't have any actual conversations with any Silver Hands in Dustmans Can.
Or did they just go, "You, I'm going to kill you," kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And you go, "Okay, I'll kill you back."
I'll kill you back. Okay. Well, tell you what. If you just want to just quickly, if you can just look into that, then just for the benefit of this video, and I'll just go over to Wuthrad and start a little bit of an examination of that, because actually, as an artifact, do you ever actually see it reconstituted in the game?
Yes, at the end of the companion quest line, you have reforged.
And is that akin to any sort of real world or mythological element that you can think of? Is it sort of like Aragorn's sword, or is it?
I mean, there's plenty of reforging of ancient heroes' swords in at least Nordic mythology, and I also think in old English tales.
Yeah.
It's a common trope, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and also actually retrieving weapons from burials and having to de-rust them, unbend them, generally rebirth them in that sense. Yeah. Wuthrad is a unique two-handed battle axe that appears in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim 5. It was originally wielded by Ysgramor, the legendary leader of the 500 companions during the Nordic Falmar War, which took place across much of Skyrim and Solstheim. In the Merethic era, the weapon was later shattered into fragments, several of which are displayed in the companions' mead hall, until they were stolen by the Silver Hand during the companions' quest line. So the Silver Hand stole them. Well, there you go. That's presumably why they're trying to get them all together, or trying to get more of them. Wuthrad was forged by Ysgramor's soul, Ungol, and the day after the Night of Tears. Legend has it that Ysgramor left Sarthal. When Ysgramor left Sarthal, his tears of grief were made of pure ebony, which Ungol used to forge this axe. Ungol heated the tears with lightning and then cooled them in the ocean. That can't be easy. And the result was a great axe forged from Ysgramor's own tears, and their own wrath and sorrow. Ungol gifted the axe to his father, who named it Wuthrad, meaning storm's tears. Very appropriate. The axe was later enchanted by Azidal, who was one of the most powerful human enchanters since the Merethic era. Interesting. So, and how? I mean, is there any sort of discussion as to where this ranks in terms of weapons in the game. So I definitely recognise, for example, I recognise this statue of a Scrimmer holding the axe from Whiterun. So it's clearly a legendary weapon, but presumably it must also be quite strong.
The use. See, it has a base damage of 25. So that's fairly decent. And it's especially deadly against elves.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's embarrassed the inherent ability to dealing 1.2 times damage to all elves.
Well, yeah. Well, actually,
and it's
so apparently here, concept art for Wuthrod revealed it was originally called the Elf Grinder.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, fair enough. Okay.
It's also worth noting that effect isn't considered an enchantment.
Okay, it's just considered a fact of the weapon.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. A whole list of bugs and things associated with the quest. But interesting. Well, with the weapon and the quest, I suppose. Interesting. So, all in all, not necessarily directly connected to the character of Dustmans Can. That said, though, do you get a sense of why it is that the shard was down there in the cairn?
It isn't said out loud in any of the text I've read, but it is placed by the wall, the world wall.
Yes.
And behind, like, the lord of that cairn, which makes me think that someone hasn't, like, it would be very, very hard and very, very. You had to be very dedicated to that specific location if you want to put it there while the Draugr
are around
there, and are protecting the place. So that would indicate that it might be put there before the tomb is closed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I suppose it does just lead me to wonder. Right. Yeah. I suppose I just wonder whether or not there's a reason for people not wanting to see it reforged, as it were.
I mean, I imagine the Thalmor has every reason to not want it.
Yeah. The Dark Elves. Yeah, they probably wouldn't like it very much. No.
And I mean, it's also. I mean, you do find some of the fragments. Like, you can find Isgrimor's tomb in Skyrim as well. It's northwest of Winterhold. And there you can find his shield. So it's part of a set.
Yeah.
And I imagine that it would be a great significant piece for someone to sport, especially in a time where the Empire and the Thalmor are in conflict with Skyrim's Nordic population. So if I was the Empire or the Thalmor, I would have wanted that axe gone for the sheer symbolic value it holds.
Okay, and I suppose particularly at a time such as we see in Skyrim, where the Empire are making an incursion into Skyrim to try and quash belief in Talos, etc., etc. You can see where there would be this connection, but I guess it's just one of those things where, again, we butt up against the requirements of a computer game and the reasons and the purpose, as it were, of this sort of shattering. So, for example, in the case of in the real world, anciently speaking, you might destroy a weapon because it's intimately connected with a person's character, and no one else is allowed to wield it. In the case of, for example, again going back to, I guess, Lord of the Rings, the sword was shattered during during its most heroic act, and the fragments were kept in memoriam, but it wasn't considered to be anyone's right really to reforge the sword, and I guess in that sense it's often connected with the character of the wielder and a broader sense of, I guess, a taboo around the object itself being whole, or being as it were re-imbued with, well, actually being changed by being reforged, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether there is any hint of that with this axe, or whether it's simply a case of it's convenient to have some bits with the Brotherhood and a couple of bits scattered around the place, you know.
Well, I mean, Iskarmor himself is closely tied to an earlier civil war between humans and elves in Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also connected to the companions and their... should I spoil their special little something? I imagine so. It's been 10 years. He's also closely connected to the companions and their werewolf thing.
Yeah, werewolf thing. Their lycanthropy, I think you can call it. Yes, lycanthropy.
Which is something the Silver Hands are incredibly against, since they're hunters.
And so, in that sense, the Silver Hand, you can see where then, they're opposed to this coming back together, because it's something that's directly connected to the powers of the Brotherhood. So okay, so there's quite a lot going on there.
And I mean, let's see. He's also... What date was the book from? Or the Battle of Sancre Tor? Let's see. Exact dates. 285. Yeah, he predates that book or that battle. So
yes. Yeah, he does.
He's real old.
Yeah.
But he is the one that is attributed or blamed, depending on where you're standing, on the banishment of the snow elves on the ground. So, yeah, he's really influential.
And just to explain that's the banishment of the snow elves underground. Is basically
the Falmar.
The Falmar, yeah, the hideous kind of orc types, which again is, it's pulling from some of the best of fantasy fiction out there. It's very similar to the origin of the orcs in Lord of the Rings, but you can't, if you're going to borrow ideas, borrow from the best, I guess.
Yeah.
But then again, I suppose actually also undoubtedly Tolkien borrowed a heck of a lot from ancient literature as well. So.
Well, they say that it's the best form of flattery.
Yeah. Yeah. But nonetheless, here we are. We find ourselves, I think, having exhausted these little lines of inquiry. But it has been interesting. I think this is another valid little extension of these surveys, is just to see what's the connection between the site and the artifacts that we find within.
Yes, definitely. And it also connects, I think, the items that you find to the lore and the history of Skyrim, which gives it meaning.
Yeah, no, I think so.
It's not just a piece of an axe that you pick up and give to someone to get experience points. It's a very, very big part of Skyrim history.
No, wait, it is. Yeah. I mean, but I couldn't help, in my head, I couldn't help but go, it kind of is, though, isn't it?
But it can be both, Mark. It can be both.
It can be both. No, but also, that's like saying that, that again, in terms of Lord of the Rings, the One Ring isn't just a MacGuffin,
No.
When it kind of is, but also it's not. So yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time today, Liv. Hopefully you guys at home have enjoyed this. Please do comment below if you have any further thoughts, and also if you want to see us go to a particular cairn, barrow, or other Draugr-infested site as our next survey location. I guess until Also, so I should say, I'm not going to do this every time, but I should say the patches have now arrived. Yay! They're now on the Etsy store. There's also a link on the blog website as well. So do check them
They're
out.
so pretty.
I'm so happy with them. And you have one coming in the post.
Yay!
Yay! I've got currently 90 odd in the office. So yeah, there's plenty to go around.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also think that it could be worth mentioning, since we mentioned Sarthal during this video, that there already is a video on Sarthal that we did years ago.
There is, yeah. Well, and
if people want to revisit that and see what we did in the beginning.
Yeah, well, and also actually that was one of the most awkward setups I've ever done. I think I put your basically you were watching my TV screen through the webcam, weren't you?
Yeah.
Because I've only really I have played on the PC, but at that point I was only playing on the Xbox. So you were trying to. I mean, you did. As my lovely wife would say, womanfully well. You did very well in that instance. But yeah, check that one out as well. It's actually in the same playlist as this video is on the YouTube channel. So yeah, definitely check it out. Right. Well, as ever, until next time, guys at home, guys and girls, do take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.